Today on Listen Up, the exclusive story behind the miracle rescue of the trapped Chilean miners. That's next. Welcome to Listen Up, the show that explores news that takes you deeper with current affairs from a Christian perspective. I'm Ricky Ratliff in for Lorna Duick. It was August 5th, 2010, when the San Jose copper and gold mine in Copiapo, Chile collapsed, sealing the miners more than half a kilometer into the ground. That's deeper than Toronto's iconic CN Tower is tall. Rescue efforts launched immediately, but because of poor geological mapping, drillers could only guess at the trapped miners' location. Their chances for survival weakened as local drilling rigs were 150 meters short of a lifeline. 5 hours away, a local drilling manufacturing company had the tools and the faith to carry out the rescue mission. When the government called, the owner of that company answered. Today, Listen Up brings you the story of a miracle, the rescue effort that resurrected 33 men from a Chilean tomb.
No one knew where the miners were.
Except that they were trapped deep within the earth. For Greg Hall, owner of Driller Supply International, it was merely the first in a long line of difficulties.
I then got a phone call from one of my techs who told me that there was a 700,000 ton rock blocking the access route. And he told me in Spanish. And I remember I was at my house, my wife said, what's the matter? And I said, well, they just said there's a 700,000 ton rock. And I had to misunderstand that, but I didn't. And when that happened, that's when I realized that there were some serious problems and it was going to be a possibly very bad situation. All the mineral exploration rigs that were around mobilized to start trying to drill holes to find the miners because no one knew where they were. There were incomplete maps. The geologists knew they were somewhere between 500 and 800 meters. The problem was that the normal exploration rigs only carries enough equipment to drill about 420 meters. That's about maximum. So the government called my plant, which is about 5 hours away, and said you need to send people and equipment out there to rig up all the rigs to be able to reach 800 meters.
Did you feel at any point that you were in over your head, or were you guys ready for the challenge?
That's a good question. I think fully equipped because we knew how to drill that rock. We were concerned in the sense that we didn't know where the miners were. And again, we knew that there was one place called the refuge, you probably heard it, it's called the refugio, that had food and water. And it was the only place that had food and water where those people could survive. What a lot of lay people don't understand is that it's not like punching a hole in a piece of paper. So we were immediately under the gun, knowing that they had 3 days of food and water, and knowing that it was going to take us at best 4 or 5 days if we got lucky and found them immediately.
You've called it one of the most technically difficult jobs anyone has ever heard of. Explain for the rest of us just how difficult this really was.
It was so difficult that most experts didn't think it could be done. The holes were being drilled as quickly as possible with no concern on deviation or anything at all. They were just trying to punch the holes down. So when finally the hole was made that found the miners, it was a hole that wound around the formations. It actually had several turns in it because that's not abnormal, but normally you would drill it straighter and drill it more carefully. Had it been a hole that was we were doing for profit, we would have abandoned it because it was too windy.
What was it like shifting gears so quickly? You've drilled for years for minerals, and now you're drilling for people.
Anytime you're dealing in Chile, it's tough. I mean, you're up at, in this case, about 4,500 feet, which wasn't too bad, but it's freezing cold at night and it's blistering hot during the day, every single day. There's not really any place to sleep. So the physical conditions and the mental effort is quite large. And so I let the guys know at the start, I said, I want you guys to think about, your son or your daughter or your wife being down there. What would you put up with to do that? Because I wanted them to understand that it was going to be an extremely difficult job. Then as things started to progress and the interest in it began to grow, it got even worse because, as you're probably aware, there was a Camp Esperanza that all the families had right outside one of the guard shacks. And they had beautiful notes, to my husband, we will never leave you. So, very emotional notes. And that was really tough. And so we actually made a mistake on drilling the second hole. We started drilling it too fast. And we did it, I think, because we were being led by our emotion. And we hit one of those big turns and we shattered our tools. and we actually almost completely lost the hole. And so after that, I kind of changed it a bit, and I said, guys, we need to just drill this technically. Let's stop worrying about the emotional part, because we might make a mistake with that.
Greg, you had so much at risk. Why were you willing to put your reputation on the line for such a high-stakes job?
Well, I'm a man of faith, and I figured that I had been put there, for a reason, and I had a lot of skill sets a lot of people don't have. So what we tried to do is we just pretty much tried to concentrate on drilling the next meter, because I knew that we could drill that next meter no matter how hard it was. I knew that if we continued to do that, we would finally be successful. But there were 9 rigs that were mainly just punching holes down to the ground, and they would drill down to 800 meters, and if they didn't find anything, which they didn't, they would come back up and start again. They would be given another path to go down. It was really very, very sad talking to the miners, how they would talk about hearing the drills go by close. I mean, one time I think they said we were within 9 feet, and they could hear the drill coming down, because it takes days. And they would be crying as it passed, and of course, nobody knew. It would just hit down to the 800 meters. Okay, not there, and come back. So that was what was going on. And of course, after we got to about day 10 or 11, in my mind, we were drilling a recovery effort, not a rescue effort, because I figured they were dead. Didn't know how they could survive.
And then on day 17, a breakthrough.
So I got a call at 7:15 in the morning from one of my techs on job site, and he said, we hit a void, which of course is what you're looking for, because you need not solid rock. He goes, so we hear some banging on the drill pipe. And even at that time, I thought maybe 1 or 2 of them had survived. Told him, obviously, pull up the drill pipe, and let's get a camera down there and see, A, how many survived, and B, what shape they're in. It takes about 7 hours to pull the drill pipe up. And so by the time the drill pipe got up there, all the ministers were around. I mean, there was a whole lot of people that were around. And that's when you've probably seen some of the video, came up, and there was a note attached to my hammer and bit and pipe that said, all 33 of us are alive in the refuge.
Estamos bien en el refugio Los 33.
Gracias, weón. Gracias, weón, gracias.
What did you think about the timing of it all? I mean, had you not found them for a few more days, they may not.
They would have died.
But Greg's job wasn't done. There was more work and more miracles yet to come.
God had to drill that hole. So really that was he said, God had to drill that hole. There's no way you could do that. And I said, I think you're right. I said, I think you're right.